Now, the cold case cards. In 2018, detectives launched a deck of playing cards to generate new leads in some of Rhode Island's toughest investigations, and we've been diving into those cases. Tonight, police in Pawtucket are still searching for answers more than 3 decades after a man was found shot multiple times. Just before the calendar turned to 1989, Pawtucket detectives found themselves here, a dead-end street on the city's border with Attleboro. A man's body brutally discarded among tires and trash. He was Jose Charlie Mojica, the 10 of diamonds.
Jose was a young man who lived in the city. He lived over in Prospect Heights. He had a few brushes with the Pawtucket police, over the years. Not a bad guy, but sometimes he might have been a little bit of a tough guy and may have, talked with the wrong person.
Talking with the wrong person may have cost Jose Mojica his life. Pawtucket Police Detective Sue Cormier says the 22-year-old's body was discovered the morning of December 28, 1988.
A couple of people were walking by. It's a kind of a dead-end road down in Branch Street, and they observed him laying down on the ground, and they called it into police, and he had been shot multiple times. He was a target.
Newspaper reports at the time said police believed the killing was connected to drugs. Investigators telling the Providence Journal they interviewed more than a dozen people, but were unable to hone in on any suspects.
There are some persons of interest then and now that will still be looked into further, a little further investigation, and some witnesses that we'd like to speak with. There was a party a couple of days before that a lot of people were in attendance, as well as the victim, and there's a lot of those people that I would like to speak with.
I spoke with Jose's nephew, Hector, who says his uncle was more like a brother. Decades later, it's still difficult for Hector and his family to talk about Jose's death. It was a tragedy that rocked the Mojica family to its core. Hector didn't want to go on camera, but tells me his uncle was likable and had a lot of heart. But he also dabbled in things he shouldn't have, like drugs. Hector says whoever took his uncle's life will now have to stand before God.
I think that for anybody it's very difficult to lose a loved one, but then to lose that person and not know what happened or why, I think, really makes it that much more difficult for the families, so we would like to try and give them an answer.
More than 30 years after the crime, Cormier says it's important to look at the case file with fresh eyes and remind people who might know something that they could hold the clues to crack the case.
Back then they might have been afraid to come forward for whatever reason, fear of retaliation, what have you, and as time has passed, when they realize that we have not forgotten, the families haven't forgotten, the police haven't forgotten, it's still important to us to get the answers. We are still interested in hearing what they have to say and any information that they might have.
Do you know who killed Jose Mojica? Call 1-877-RI-SOLVE. For more information on this and other cold cases, visit our website, WPRI.com. First at 5:30, the cold case cards. Good evening, I'm Kim Kalunian.
And I'm Shannon Heggie. In 2018, detectives launched a deck of playing cards to generate new leads in Rhode Island's toughest investigations. And 12 News has been diving into those cases from the start.
Tonight, we are going beyond that deck to a 1984 homicide in Cranston. Police initially thought that 19-year-old Vernon Lumba was hit by a car, but an autopsy revealed he was badly beaten. His family and detectives believe someone out there knows something. The morning of January 21st, 1984, 19-year-old Vernon Lumba's body was found lying in the snow outside of a Cranston nightclub.
You not only left my brother on the side of the road, you left my entire family there.
Lumba's sisters and mother say more than 3 decades later, the pain is still fresh.
Nobody cares. 35 years. Nobody cares about what I'm missing. For 35 years. He was a black man found in the middle of the road. Toss him aside. Back in '84, there was racism just like there is today.
Vernon was the eldest of 5, a sharp-dressed, good-looking guy. He'd been at the Sunburst Lounge, now a bowling alley on Elmwood Avenue. His sister Vonda says she was supposed to meet him that night, but the snow kept her home. Now she and her family are left only with the theories of what might have led to his murder.
He bumped into somebody on the dance floor and spilled a drink on that person. Towards the end of the night, there was an altercation. He was in a relationship, and the female brothers didn't like my brother being in a relationship with their sister. And there was an altercation with that, and they went after my brother with that. There's another theory saying that the people that murdered, or the person that murdered my brother, went back to the Sunburst Lounge and they moved his body up the road. There's so many conflicted stories. We don't know which one to go with.
Police believe it was a robbery gone wrong, pointing to $300 that Vernon reportedly had on him that night, money that went missing.
It certainly seems that robbery was the motive. There's nothing that the investigators saw at the time that led them to believe otherwise.
Cranston Police Captain Vincent McAteer said there was movement in the case in 2004 involving a suspect already at the ACI. But he says it was a case of mistaken identity involving another fight at the club where the victim survived. Police say there is no DNA evidence to be tested.
I mean, there's somebody out there that knows exactly what happened. And we're just hoping that that small crack in the case will lead to something bigger where we can find justice for Vernon and certainly some closure for his family.
Closure Vernon's family is desperate for.
And it didn't hit me until my son turned 19. That's when I was like, wow, he was a baby. He still had a whole lot of life to live. It's been 35 years too long. And all I want is for closure for my family and justice for my brother.
If you have any information about the murder of Vernon Lamba, you are urged to call Cranston Police. For more information on this and other cold cases, you can visit our website, WPRI.com.
First at 5:30, the cold case cards. In 2018, detectives launched a deck of playing cards to generate new leads in Rhode Island's toughest investigations, and we've been diving into those cases.
And tonight we're going beyond the deck, looking back 13 years to a Providence shooting on a cold December night. I spoke with the victim's mother, who tells me her son, Nathan Davis, was a jokester, the middle child of 7 kids. She says holidays were a joyous time filled with laughter, but that all changed when Nathan was killed just days before Christmas. Nancy Wilson believes she physically felt the moment her son was killed.
It felt like an amputation, and I was alive and something was being amputated from me.
It was December 21st, 2007. Nancy's phone rang at work just before 10 o'clock at night. It was her daughter on the other end, frantic.
I heard those awful words, "Come quick, Nathan's been shot."
Nathan Davis was just 25 years old.
He was on Knoll Street with a couple of other people. Car came down. He went over to the car because he knew them. The argument, started. The passenger came out with a gun. And I think at the end, like 3 of them had guns.
Friday night, police say they found Nathan Davis laying in the street, suffering from several gunshot wounds.
Detectives haven't been to sleep yet. We have leads and we have people who are talking to us, but we do not have any arrests at the time.
Nancy talked to us in the hours after her son's murder.
Whoever did this out there, oh, you will pay. You will pay. Justice will be served.
But 13 years later, justice has not been served.
I still feel that same pain.
Providence Police Major David LePayton says it appears Nathan's killing was opportunistic, retribution for a gang-related slaying 2 years prior, even though investigators say Nathan was not involved in the ongoing feud.
There was never anything to show us that Nathan was involved in any gang activity or any criminal activity whatsoever.
LePayton says they had suspects and the case went to a grand jury, but the witnesses lacked credibility and the case fell apart.
We would need more evidence, more witnesses, maybe some DNA, which we don't have. Just sometimes you just don't get a break, and that's the problem. Every case cannot be solved.
LePayton says some of the suspects are now in prison on unrelated charges, but Nancy is not giving up hope that her son's killers will one day pay for this crime.
I want my day in court. I want them to see my face. I want them to know what they took from me. I can never get it back, but I can have some sort of closure.
If you know anything about the 2007 murder of Nathan Davis, you are urged to contact Providence Police. For more information on this and other cold cases, you can visit our website, WPRI.com.
First at 5:30, the cold case cards. In 2018, detectives launched a deck of playing cards to generate new leads in Rhode Island's toughest investigations. Tonight, a decade-old Pawtucket homicide. Eyewitness News reporter Kim Kalunian spoke with the victim's sister, still searching for answers.
Scott Jensky, the 3 of Hearts, gunned down right here on Division Street in his hometown of Pawtucket. Detectives believe he knew his killer, a person his family would like to see brought to justice.
No one deserves to die the way my brother did.
Christine Cordero will never forget the morning of May 7th, 2010. Her husband called and told her to meet him at Pawtucket City Hall, where she was greeted by a police detective.
Never in my wildest dreams would I expect the words, "Scotty's dead," to come out of his mouth.
Scott Jensky had been shot a single time.
A deadly shooting in Pawtucket.
A man was found dead from a single gunshot wound on...
I was shaking. I was crying. I was hitting my husband because I kept thinking it was a lie. Then the next thing was to go and tell my mom. And how do you tell your mom, 2 days before Mother's Day, that you just lost a child? I watched a piece of her die that day.
Pawtucket Detective Sue Cormier says they have 2 persons of interest in the case.
Unfortunately, sometimes with cases like this, people pass away, disappear, so those are some of the obstacles.
Investigators believe Jensky was targeted and might have known his killer, but they need more information.
Now police know who the victim is, but they don't know who killed him.
The smallest thing that they might think is nothing could unlock this case completely.
He couldn't wait to become an uncle.
Cordero says her little brother was like a teddy bear, fiercely loving and protective, but he wasn't perfect.
15, 16 years old, I think, was when he started heading down that wrong path.
His sister says he kept that part of his life separate from his family. Court records show Jensky spent time in prison, convicted of crimes like assault with a dangerous weapon, breaking and entering, and shoplifting. But his family says none of those misdeeds deserved the death penalty that he ultimately received.
He was a son, he was a father, he was an uncle, he was my brother.
Jensky's devoted mother died last fall, never knowing who took her son's life.
I would like to think that maybe someday I could go up to the cemetery and be able to say to his parents, they got him.
Do you know who killed Scott Jensky? Call 1-877-RI-SOLVE. In Pawtucket, I'm Kim Kalunian.
Now the cold case cards. In 2018, detectives launched a deck of playing cards to generate new leads in Rhode Island's toughest investigations, and we've been diving into those cases.
Tonight, we're going beyond the deck. Eyewitness News reporter Kim Kalunian joins us now from Central Falls, where detectives are investigating what they believe was a case of mistaken identity.
They're now hoping you can help bring a killer to justice.
It was about 2.5 years ago. 22-year-old Christian Huertas Hernandez was walking home from work on this Central Falls street. He was only 200 feet from his front door, so close that his mother heard the gunshots. Christian never made it home, and the person or people responsible for his death have never been caught. It was a rainy Sunday night in February 2018.
One of the witnesses said he heard 4 or 5 shots and a car peeling his tires and taking off. And they found Christian Huertas, or Hernandez, who was 22 at the time, in front of 16 Richardson, on the ground with a gunshot wound.
A man shot and killed in Central Falls. This was breaking news last night on Eyewitness News at 10.
I was in the kitchen and had the news on like always.
Brian, the family of Christian Huertas Hernandez tells me he was walking home from work at Price Right last night when he was shot and killed right here on Richardson Street.
I couldn't believe it. I was hearing and looking at it, but I could not believe it. And I immediately called his father, and there it was, devastation.
Family friend Mary Garcia speaking with us and acting as a translator for Christian's father, Damaso Huertas, on the phone from Puerto Rico.
He couldn't believe it. It couldn't be his son.
22-year-old Christian, remembered by friends and family as talented and smart, a good kid who liked sports and volunteered with local youth.
Really, when we found out that he was the victim, we were just a shock, too.
Detectives like Jeffrey Arujo were determined to find whoever was responsible.
We're looking for everything. Neighbors, witnesses, and everything kept falling back to he had no relation to being shot. We don't believe he was the intended target.
Police scoured surveillance from dozens of cameras in the area and identified a 2000 to 2004 gold or silver Infiniti as a suspect vehicle.
I believe I have a good idea who's involved and just really need the public's help.
Help that Christian's father hopes will finally solve a crime that robbed him of his only son.
So please just do the right thing, come forward.
Would it help to know at least who was responsible?
It will help a little bit, yes, because he's never going to come back, but at least we got justice for him. He didn't die in vain.
If you know anything about the murder of Christian Huertas Hernandez, you are urged to call Central Falls Police. For more information on this and other cold cases, you can head to our website, WPRI.com. In Central Falls, I'm Kim Kalunian, Eyewitness News.
.530, the cold case cards. Who killed Robert Bobby Baptista?
He made a lot of enemies?
Yeah, it seems that way.
In 2016, just weeks after being released from prison, a Pawtucket man was shot and killed in his apartment. There is no shortage of suspects, but nailing down who pulled the trigger has been a challenge.
So detectives added the case to a deck of playing cards. Each card highlights an unsolved homicide or missing person case in Rhode Island.
Eyewitness News reporter Steve Nielsen sits down with the detective who started the investigation at the scene to see where the search for justice stands now.
Bobby had a record. He just got out of prison, but this time things were going to be different. He told his uncle he was going to get back on track, but he was never given the chance. Bobby Baptista, the two of diamonds. He was trying. Things were tough and he wanted to fix them. Robert Bobby Baptista just got out of prison in November 2016. Earlier that year, Eyewitness News captured the end of a standoff he had with police. He and two associates were arrested for an incident earlier in the day where gunfire erupted from both sides. After he got out,
it seemed like part of it was trying to get his life together.
Bobby started living at a friend's apartment on Sisson Street. November 12, 2016, people entered his apartment.
Oh, he was inside the apartment, so he may have been ambushed.
He was shot in the chest, killed. Pawtucket detective Sue Cormier worked the scene. You can see her in the file video at the apartment.
It was an emotional scene. You had friends that were gathering outside because they knew he was staying there. They saw the police cars, they saw the rescue. People took it upon themselves to notify family members before the police were able to, so it really intensified the scene.
Bobby's uncle Jay Baptista spoke to us the day after the murder.
I mean, it has to be some type of vendetta or something like that. I have no idea where it could have come from. He's not a bad kid, and it's really sad.
It made this case a little bit difficult because of some of his connections and some of the enemies that he did make.
He made a lot of enemies?
Yeah, it seems that way.
Cormier said there are quite a few suspects and they're narrowing down the field. She said witnesses spotted multiple people running from the scene.
Well, they took someone's life that quickly and are still walking around and trying to get away with it and move on with their lives. So it's just not right.
Trying to better his life, and now he can't.
The people that are responsible for his death got away with it right now, and he has a family that loved him, that they deserve answers, and he deserves some justice.
Do you know who killed Bobby Baptista? Call 1-877-RI-SOLVE or go to our website, WPRI.com, to learn more about this investigation and all of the others we've covered so far in this series. I'm Steve Nielsen, Eyewitness News.
All the cold case cards. This week, a murder that's gone unsolved for 13 years.
Do you feel confident you'll solve this case?
I believe that we will.
Carrie Pelletier vanished in 2006. Her body was found along the highway 3 years later, but her killer is still out there.
To bring in new leads, detectives added the case to a deck of cold case playing cards. Each card highlights an unsolved homicide or missing person case in Rhode Island. Her brother tells me tonight he hopes the killer is watching. Carrie Pelletier, the 5 of Diamonds. Raymond and his little sister Carrie had a tough childhood.
After school, we started jewelry work until 9, 10 o'clock at night. We helped my mom out a lot because we couldn't afford much.
But this didn't stop little Carrie Pelletier from having a great attitude.
Outgoing, very giddy, heart of gold. She would do anything to help anyone.
Then something changed. They grew apart.
She pretty much didn't stay in touch with anyone.
Raymond suspected drug use. Carrie moved to Providence and some time passed.
This girl's gotta be somewhere. She's never done this before.
In June 2006, Eyewitness News interviewed Carrie's neighbors and friends. Carrie was living in this Charles Place building and one day vanished. Posters bearing her name and picture were plastered all over. Even at that point, Carrie's friends feared the worst.
She was a good-hearted person to people. She said hi to everybody.
Days passed. Weeks, months, years.
An unfortunate end to the search. Yes.
In December 2009, the Providence Police Missing Persons Search became a state police homicide investigation.
State police got involved several years later when human remains were located on the side of Route 95.
20 miles from where she vanished, an ACI inmate cleanup crew stumbled upon Carrie's body off Exit 7 in 95 North in the woods. Detective Robert Hopkins won't reveal how she was killed in order to withhold some facts that only the killer will know.
Starting an investigation at that point, after 3 years of her being missing, that has to be very challenging. It can be challenging. The detectives that initially worked the case during the time period did quite a bit, followed up on quite a bit of information, recreated a pretty strong timeline.
He adds, while this spot where she was left might seem random, it isn't.
As secluded as someone may think that they're bringing something, they're bringing it there because they're comfortable with that location. And generally there's a connection between a place that someone is left and the person that left them there.
Nobody deserves that. The way she was found, nobody deserves that. She's a human being.
Raymond hopes for answers and for the killer to be caught.
I hope they're watching. I really do. Because they're the ones that's got to live with it. And the man upstairs is going to be watching.
Do you know who killed Carrie Pelletier? Call 1-877-RI-SOLVE or go to our website, WPRI.com, to learn more about this investigation and all of the others we've covered so far in this series.